Hello, wherever you're joining me. And today's class is in memory of the fallen soldiers in Israel and a refuah shlema, a speedy recovery to everyone Israel who is injured, and our prayers that there will be peace there. So we're in Daf 28 of Chullin. I'm in the middle of the Daf, so I'm just going to continue, and it says Imam Kahana said to explain the derivation of the first halacha in the Baita. Although the term Tizbachehu is vocalized in plural, you need to believe that two people may slaughter an animal together, and that's because the word is written without a vav. The term Tizbachehu is written, and what does it mean when it says is written? Kasiv, written, side note here. The question as to whether the written or vocalized text is authoritative raises the issues of whether or not halakhic conclusions can be drawn from the manner in which the words are written in the Torah, even if those conclusions run counter to the accepted vocalization of the words. This dispute appeared in several contexts throughout the Talmud. Ultimately, neither opinion concludes the authoritative. Everyone agreed that both the written and vocalized text must be considered. People relate only to instances where contradictory conclusions are reached by means of the two opinions, and singular, indicating that two individuals may not slaughter the offering. But if you say that the reference is to slaughter of non-sacred birds, it should be permitted even at Babnisha. And Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish too holds that the first clause of the Mishnah is referring to the slaughter of non-sacred birds and animals, and the latter clause is referring to the slaughter of sacrificial birds and animals. As Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish says, since we learned in the Mishnah that the halacha states of the majority of one siman is like that of the entire siman, we did also need to learn later in the Mishnah the majority of one siman in a bird, the majority of two simanim in an animal. The latter clause is obvious based on the principle articulated in the first clause. Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish explained, since we learned in the Mishnah in Yom 31b, they brought him the sheep for the daily morning offering, and he slaughtered it. Kivatzo meaning slaughtered it. This verb has various meanings in the Bible. In this Mishnah, it means to cut or to slaughter, as in the verse, Egypt is a very fair heifer, but the slaughtered carrots is coming from the note Jeremiah 46:20, because in most of the way to the God in the windpipe, and different priests completed the slaughter on his behalf. When the time to slaughter the daily offering Yom Kippur arrived, the animal was brought to the high priest, who cut through the majority of the Deuteronomy, i.e. the God in the windpipe, which rendered the slaughter valid. The second priest completed the slaughter on his behalf, freeing the high priest to receive the blood and sprinkle it on the altar. In accordance with the Mishnah Yom 31b, Rambam Sefer Avodah Hilchot Yom Kippurim 4:1. The reason the high priest did not complete the slaughter himself is that the entire Yom Kippur service must be performed by the high priest. Therefore, he must receive the blood of the offering in a vessel. In order to enable him to receive the blood that spurts out at the moment of slaughter, another priest completes the slaughter on his behalf. So he's catching the blood. This is not considered to be a case where the slaughter of one animal by two people has been cut the majority by someone and rendering the slaughter valid. When it's performed by the second priest, it is not vital to the validity of the slaughter, says the Rabban. So it's saying that the high priest validly slaughtered the animal, even though he didn't do the other part, because the cutting of the majority of the animal is the essential part. Well, the high priest received the blood in a vessel and proceeded with the order of the Yom Kippur service. One might have thought that if the other priest did not complete the cutting of the two semanim, the slaughter would not be valid. Therefore, we learned in the Mishnah, if one cut the majority of one simon in a bird, or the majority of a simon in an animal, the slaughter is valid. The Gemara analyzes the statement of Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. The Master said, one might have thought that if the other priest did not complete the cutting of the two semanim, the slaughter would not be valid. How could that possibly enter one's mind? If that is so, the completion of that slaughter is a temple service performed by another Yom Kippur. So it implies the entire Yom Kippur service is valid only if it is performed by the high priest. The entire temple service on Yom Kippur is valid only performed by the high priest. This applies even to the rites like the daily burning of the incense and removing ashes from the candelabrum. Some commentators hold that only the rites unique to Yom Kippur is performed by the high priest, but the other rites may be performed by ordinary priests. Even according to that opinion, it's a mitzvah for the high priest to perform these service abominations. That's from the Rambam Sefer Hilchot Avodas Yom Kippur 1-2, in the case of Mishnah there. The Gemara answers that this is what Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish is saying. One might have thought that if the slaughter was not completed by the other priest, it would not be valid by rabbinic law, as it might enter your mind say there's a invalidation by rabbinic law. Therefore, we learn in the Mishnah the majority of one simon in a bird, the majority of two simon in an animal. The Gemara asks, and since there is not an invalidation by rabbinic law, why do only the other priests complete the cutting of the simonim? The Gemara answers, there is a mitzvah to complete the slaughter of Abnisha to facilitate the free flow of the blood. Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish says in the name of Levi the elder, halachic slaughter is accomplished only at its conclusion. This discussion as to whether halachic slaughter is accomplished only at its conclusion, or whether it is accomplished from the beginning to the end of the act, appears in several places in the Talmud. There are ramifications in other areas of halacha, e.g., at which point is one liable to pay a fine of 4 or 5 times the principal for one who slaughters a stolen animal, see Baba Kama 72a, and at which point the slaughter does inappropriate intent disqualify an offering, see the Vacham 30a. The Rosh writes that everyone agrees that in every case where the slaughter is completed in the proper manner, the slaughter is retroactively accomplished from the beginning to the end of the act. Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish disagree only in cases where there is some deviation from procedure during the slaughter. E.g., if the priest pinched one simon above the red line and one simon below, or it is a disqualification if one person began the slaughter and another completed, the Rosh 36a. And Rabbi Yochanan says, halacha slaughter is accomplished from the beginning to the end of the act. Rabbi said in establishing the parameters of the dispute between Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan. Everyone concedes in a case where a Gentile slaughtered, I cut one son simon, and a Jew slaughtered one simon. Heichad shachat simon echad goy v'simon echad Yisrael. If a Gentile or anyone else unfit to slaughter began slaughtering an animal or another person who was fit to slaughter completed the slaughter, or if one who was fit to slaughter before began slaughtering an animal and another person is unfit to slaughter completed the slaughter is not valid. This ruling is according to the statement of Rabbah that both Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan agree in this case. This is the case specifically if one unfit to slaughter began the slaughter with an action capable of letting the animal and the slaughtered carcass, e.g. by cutting the gullet or the majority of the windpipe. But if it began the slaughter with an action that does not disqualify the animal, is by cutting half the windpipe, the slaughter is valid. That's from the Rambam Sefer Kedushi. 413 Shulchan Aruch Yodea 210. Slaughter is not valid, even as slaughter is accomplished only at its conclusion, as an action rendering the animal to reifa was performed by the hand of a Gentile. Since slaughter by a Gentile is not valid, we can intervene the animal at the reifa. In the case of a bird burnt offering, the sacrifice of a bird burnt offering is performed on the upper half of the altar, above the red line that one was on the middle of the altar. If the priest sacrificed it below the red line, it will be pinched one of the simon below the red line, and when above the red line, the offering is not valid. This is the case irrespective of whether the priest pinched a bird in the manner of a burnt offering or the manner of a sin offering, or whether he pinched it for the sake of a sin offering or for the sake of a burnt offering. Let me see if I've got here Magdishin 7:6 as well. When one simon was pinned by the priest below the red line, marking half the height of the altar, in accordance with the procedure of the sin offering, and one simon was pinned above the red line. There's a little diagram here of the altar. So you've got the base, we've got the Steinsaltz, it's got a little picture here on page 152. The base of the altar, and then like the middle, and in the middle it's got a red line. So the red line is a mark of half the height, and then above it's got the surrounding ledge, and above the surrounding ledge you've got the corners of the altar. and the altar on it, and then the ramp coming down. So it says here, the marla above the red line. The red line was painted precisely halfway up the altar, encircling it. This was the line of demarcation between the upper portion of the altar, where the blood of the animal, sin offerings and burnt offerings were sprinkled, and the lower portion of the altar, where the blood of the other offerings were sprinkled. According to the procedure of the burnt offering, the opinion is not valid. When the priest performs an action appropriate for a bird sin offering below the line, below the red line, it's qualified for being sacrificed as a burnt offering. And Bashim ben Lakish, I can disagree only in the case of the individual caught one simon outside the temple courtyard and one simon inside the temple courtyard. According to the one who says slaughter is accomplished from the beginning to the end of the act, the who begins the slaughter outside the temple courtyard is liable for slaughter of a sacrificial animal outside the courtyard. According to the one who says halacha slaughter is accomplished only in its conclusion, one who does so is not liable at the conclusion of the slaughter, which is typically further performed inside the temple courtyard. Now, Bashim, he said to Rabbah, the master did not say that this was the crux of the dispute between Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. And who is the master? It is Rabbi Yosef, who says that in a case where one caught one simon outside the temple courtyard and one simon inside the temple courtyard, the slaughter is not valid and the priest is liable to punishment because he performed an action appropriate for a person outside the temple courtyard. They disagree on the case where one slaughtered the minority of each of the simon outside the temple courtyard and completed the slaughter inside the temple courtyard. Let's explain that. If one caught the minority of the simonim outside the temple courtyard and completes the slaughter inside the courtyard, or begins slaughter in the south of the courtyard and completes in the north, the slaughter is not valid. This is because halacha slaughter is accomplished from the beginning to the end of the act, according to the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan, as the halacha is in accordance with his opinion in disputes with Reish Lakish. He tells what the halacha was in accordance with the explanation of Rabbi Yosef, 118. According to the one who says halacha slaughter is accomplished from the beginning to the end of the act, Rabbi Yochanan, who begins the slaughter outside the temple courtyard, is liable for slaughter of the sacrificial animal outside the courtyard. According to the one who says halacha slaughter is accomplished only at its conclusion, Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, one who does so is not liable, as he concludes the slaughter in an appropriate place. I'm going to have to stop there, and wish you a very good day. All the best. Bye.